Welcome to Peace TV's newsletter. Today's newsletter we will update the war news in Ukraine. Here are the details.
As you all know, today is the anniversary of the victory of Russia. We will wait and see what Ukraine will do around the rumors about Ukraine. And the West wants to make a breakthrough on this day, to reduce the morale of the Russian army and people. But for many analysts, Ukraine should be more careful, or else there will be no Ukraine on the world map. When making the mistake of Westernism, Ukraine's deputy defense minister warned that Russia would panic over Kiev's counterattack with Western support. We will launch a counteroffensive when and where it doesn't matter now. If that happens, Russia will panic. You will see a lot of panic. This fight will be on the ground, not on TV screens or the internet. Ukraine's Deputy Defense Minister Volodymyr Havrilov said in an interview with The Independent. On May 7th, Havrilov said Russian casualties have reached 200,000 since the conflict began in February last week. Moscow rejected the US assessment that 20,000 Russian troops have been killed and 80,000 wounded in the past 5 months. Holding on to the city of Bakhmut is key for Ukraine to prepare for a counter-offensive, allowing Ukraine's defense forces to crush Russia's core military resources. The deputy defense minister said it means that they will definitely end the war in disaster. Sooner or later, Bakhmut proved, not only to Ukraine, but also to the enemy, that there is no military solution for Russia in the conflict. This war, even military catastrophe awaits Russia at the end of this war, and we will see that soon. Havrilov warned, "We have shown our courage, that we are trustworthy, serious and ready to defend our country by all means," Havrilov said, reiterating Ukraine's call to its allies, Western alliance, for the supply of advanced fighter aircraft. He said there was no other way to prevent Russian planes from launching missiles from deep within Russian territory into Ukraine. We needed something more sophisticated than a ground-based air defense system with a long-range strike capability to shoot down Russian planes at a distance of more than 100 kilometers to ensure the safety of our people. That's why we recommend our partners to supply modern fighters like the F-16 or similar, and we insist that these planes be sent to us as soon as possible to save the lives of civilians, Havrilov added. Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Mikhail Galuzin on May 4th warned that Western countries pump weapons to help Ukraine counterattack Russia will only escalate the conflict and destroy all peace talks. Ukraine's Deputy Defense Minister stated that Kiev will win this war thanks to its advantages and technological superiority. Havrilov also announced that Ukraine would take back Crimea. "Nothing can stop us from taking back this area. Crimea in our territory, we are ready to do it. Russia has to accept it as an inevitable part of this war," Havrilov emphasized. Havrilov said the situation could change very quickly on the ground after Ukraine launched a counter-offensive. "I can only say that we are doing everything possible to end the war as quickly as possible. I really want 2023 to be a year of victory," Ukraine's Deputy Defense Minister stated.
Ukrainian officials are trying to lower expectations for the planned counter-offensive, fearing that things are being overblown, making the outcome of the counter-offensive may not be as desired. Ukraine's military has spent nearly 15 months fighting Russian forces, and the war is still in a tug-of-war, a fact that is judged to exceed the expectations of the US and its Western allies. But now, Ukraine's senior leaders are trying to downplay those expectations, fearing that the outcome of the coming counter-offensive to dislodge Russia from the territories it controls could be devastating. Unlike the claims made about it so far, the world is overestimating and expecting too much from our counter-offensive, Ukraine's Defense Minister Oleksiy Reznikov said in an interview last week. He stressed that most people seem to be waiting for something big. What he fears is that this counter-offensive could lead to emotional disappointment. Ukraine's planned counter-offensive, made possible with the support of military weapons and training by the United States and its Western allies, could mark the most important phase of the war. as Ukraine seeks to win the war, recapture key territories that Russia controls, and demonstrate that it deserves continued support. Counterattack military operations like these often require overwhelming advantage. But the fact that, along with the fact that Russian forces have deepened the defensive trenches and reinforced a strict defense system on the front stretching nearly 1,500 kilometers, has made many people skeptical about the success of the Russian military. Ukraine in the upcoming counter-offensive campaign. According to experts, it is difficult to assess how far Ukraine will go. In addition, the muddy terrain in early spring was also a big obstacle for the Ukrainian army, causing the counter-offensive operation to be delayed. Ukraine is under pressure to launch a large-scale counter-offensive and avoid falling into a prolonged stalemate. Ukrainian officials are also grappling with a difficult question: what results are needed to impress the West, especially the United States? An effective counter-offensive could help Kiev gain more support for American and Western weapons and ammunition. This is a necessary condition for Ukraine to continue the fight against Russian forces as well as boost the morale of the soldiers. But there are also concerns that if it fails, Kiev could lose military support from the West, severely affect morale at home, or face having to sit at the negotiating table with Moscow. According to experts, negotiations in such a situation will almost certainly involve Ukraine giving in to Russian demands, which Kiev has rejected and called unacceptable.
A Ukrainian commander in the eastern city of Bakhmut said his unit faced continuous shelling and that they saw no evidence of a Russian ammunition shortage. Like Wagner's boss, Yevgeny Prigozhin, declared, "The enemy is trying to carry out these attacks 24/7. We don't notice that they lack ammunition as they claim. I think it's the opposite. The intensity of shelling is increasing," Ihor Shiktin, battalion commander in the Territorial Defense Brigade, told Ukrainian TV channel Prigozhin, whose Wagner army led the fight for the eastern Ukrainian town of Bakhmut, has repeatedly claimed his fighters lacked ammunition last week. He said they would withdraw from the area, a threat he now appears to have backed down from. Shiktin said Prigozhin's statements were an attempt to distract the Ukrainian military in the face of his own huge losses. "I think the enemy is already desperate. He is using every possible means to try to knock our defenses out of Bakhmut, but the enemy failed and won't succeed," Shiktin said, adding that the Ukrainians were not at risk of encirclement, and, while they had some logistical problems, could still disperse the wounded and receive ammunition supplies. Sohi Cherevochi, a spokesman for the Eastern Group of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, agreed, saying in a separate television interview that the Russians had no shortage of ammunition. This is absolutely not true. He added that Ukrainian positions had been shelled more than 400 times in the last 24 hours, and that enemy troops were using an average of more than 25,000 rounds per day. Around the eastern cities of Bakhmut, Lyman and Kupiansk, Prigozhin came up with this nonsense. About the shell crisis, however, his main problem is the constant destruction of personnel of our defense force. And so he couldn't add staff because he couldn't recruit people from prisons, Cherevochi said. Cherevochi claims that Russia has caused about 20,000 casualties in the Bakhmut region in the past 9 months because of Wagner's meat grinder fighting tactics.
The Ukrainian Air Force said that Russia used about 8 Kh-22 missiles in the Odessa raid last night. In a statement released on May 8, Yuri Inat, a spokesman for the Ukrainian Air Force, accused the Russian military of launching 8 Kh-22 anti-ship cruise missiles at the port city of Odessa during the demonstration raid, out on the night of the 7th and early morning on the 8th of May. According to Inat, the missiles were launched from a Tu-22M3 strategic bomber from the Kiev-Tarkhankat area in Crimea. A food company warehouse, a Black Sea resort, and several properties in Odessa were hit and damaged. However, Inat asserted that some Kh-22 missiles failed to reach the target. The Rajiga Kh-22 is a large anti-ship missile developed during the Soviet era. With a mass of nearly 6 tons, a length of 11.6 meters, this missile can carry a warhead weighing 900 kilograms or a nuclear warhead with a yield of up to 100 kt. Using a liquid fuel engine, The Kh-22 can fly at a maximum speed of 5,600 kilometers per hour, nearly 5 times the speed of sound. The range of this missile is about 600 kilometers. In addition, many improved versions of the Kh-22 are also equipped with an advanced combined radar system, allowing it to move flexibly and attack targets more accurately. With its power and outstanding features, the Kh-22 is dubbed by military observers as the carrier killer. Some Western newspapers even describe the missile as a terrible weapon at all limits. The Russian military began using Kh-22 missiles to attack Ukraine from the end of 2022. On January 14, an apartment building in Dnipro was hit by a Kh-22 missile during a Russian airstrike. The attack left at least 40 people dead and more than 70 injured. After the raid, the commander of the Ukrainian Air Force, Nikolai Oleshchuk, admitted that the country did not possess any air defense systems capable of intercepting and shooting down the Russian Kh-22 missile. The Ukrainian armed forces have no fire equipment capable of shooting down this type of missile. Since the Russian military began its military operation in Ukraine, not a single missile has been shot down by Ukrainian air defenses, Mr. Oleshchuk admitted. According to Oleshchuk, Ukraine's target detection system is sensitive enough to be able to identify the Kh-22 through launch, altitude, and flight speed, but the problem is that the missile's flight path can be deflected, go hundreds of meters,